Frankie Russo coming at you straight out of Brooklyn YouTube Live. How's everybody doing? How's everybody? Because I'm not feeling too good. My Yankees. It was rough, man. It was rough. Last night was rough. Last night was rough. Let me tell you. I'm just getting my stuff together because I'm getting ready for the um for the Donald John Trump, our great president segment. I just want to talk sports first, and my New York Yankees. I had a great season. The most injuries of any, the most injuries of any uh, uh, team in one season was with the New York Yankees this year. I think it was 30 plus injuries. Right? Boone, field management had a great. I mean, he's great. I think he's manager of the year, quite frankly. Right? And then what he did with the bullpen, I thought was exceptional. He leveraged it as much as he can. Unfortunately, like we didn't hit like we do during the regular season, which is expected because the playoffs, the pitching is better. But still, we didn't hit anything like Minnesota's pitching couldn't compare to Houston's pitching. And I don't know, it was a combination of us not hitting and Houston with men in scoring position and Houston's pitching. So it's probably a combination of both. But we were savages in the box, right? And DJ LeMahieu's home run in the ninth inning with one out was the definitive moment on how tremendous and how never that mantra that Gleyber Torres mentions, we never give up, and that's the New York Yankees. We fight. My my, if you want to call it beef, is not with Aaron Boone. My beef is with the pitching coach. Now, it's not a beef or whatever. I'm a Yankee fan, and I'm a diehard Yankee fan. We got great general manager. We got great field manager. Booney's getting better. He's better than last year. He showed so much improvement, especially in the playoffs. But I tell you, we had enough pitching, even without Patansis and even with Haman to win this game. Obviously, our ERA, it's my understanding, was just as good or lower than Houston's ERA. We just didn't hit as we usually do to at least trend in that direction, right? The problem is the pitching, the sequence in those high leverage moments is what drives me insane. We got Chapman dialed in, throwing 98, right? Dialed in. Gets the first two guys out and then drops a slider on Springer. I mean, there comes a point in time where you got to challenge these guys. We can't keep going to the secondary stuff. He threw Springer 3 to 4 sliders in a row until it was 3-1 the count, and then he lost them, or 3-2. With Altuve, he's dropping sliders like crazy. He hung a slider, and that was it. What bothers me is we got beat on our best pitcher's second best pitch. His slider by itself is not his best pitch. He don't have a Sparky Lyle, Ron Guidry slider. He doesn't. His slider is effective because his fastball is that good. He's throwing 98 to 100 with all that deception with his biomechanical technique. I mean, Chapman is an animal. I was looking for a 1-2-3 inning and Chapman glaring into George Springer after he just blew a fastball right by him. Smoked him. Paxton smoked him. Paxton smoked Altuve. If Paxton was throwing fastballs his last outing, Paxton probably would have went 9 innings. His fastball was that good. We don't challenge the hitters enough. We don't challenge the hitters enough. We don't do it. With the stuff of Chapman, you don't play around with those type of hitters in those big moments the way we did. We go with our best, win or lose, we go with our best. Whatever the result, we go with our best stuff. When you walk off that bump, you got to say to yourself, was that my best pitch? And it wasn't. He was throwing 98, 99, glaring in after each hitter. He had the mental makeup, and something happened when Sanchez walked to the mound with Springer. Okay, and he dropped the first one in for a strike, the deuce, the slider. He then should have came back to the heat and tried to get him. You gotta go after them. That's the only way. You can't play a circle jerk with these big time hitters. And that's what happens. I tell you the truth. My feeling was the way we came back like savages, the next inning, I think we were going to take it. We were going to take it. If we would have got 0 on the bottom, we were going to take it. And then we should be playing a game. We should have played a game 7 today. Very, very disappointed. We came so far. We overcame all the obstacles of injuries and this one, and then all the off the field with unfortunately with our best starter this year, Domingo Germán, we didn't have, and then Betances had that freak injury. I mean, so the problem, and the Yankees got to consider changing their pitching coach. As you know, let me tell you, Larry Rothschild, he's probably a nice guy, and I never met him, and he probably knows pitching very well. He probably can look at a tape, at a video, and break down a pitcher's mechanics and say what he's doing wrong, maybe make adjustments on the mechanics. He's probably great at it. But when it comes to managing a pitching staff and developing pitches, I think he's full short. Pitches are like boxes. They throw to the spot that I call them vectors, right? They're hitting the spot. Up, down, in, and out. Fastball command is the key to any pitching. Absolutely, Robert, man, what's popping? Pitching is the key, right? Obviously, we have savages in the box. Our pitching was top notch, but when it came to the high leverage moments, our sequencing was off. Look at Jonathan Loáisiga. Jonathan Loáisiga's got a golden arm, so much so that John Smoltz, who hates the Yankees, couldn't believe how this kid was how sick this kid is. How sick his stuff is. Thank you, Ramba, man. Right? Jonathan Loáisiga is throwing, while he's having a cup of coffee, throwing 100 miles an hour. What do the Yankees do? He comes in throwing PBs. Then they start asking for the deuce, the changeup. This is a rookie. Playing it, pitching in the playoffs. Instead of keeping it simple, keeping it basic for the kid, and building the kid up by just using the gas, locating his fastball. Just let him focus on locating his fastball, right? The kid should have been a factor in this. Booney should have been very confident to go to Jonathan Loáisiga during this playoff season, not Luis Cessa, right? Jonathan Loáisiga has got a golden arm, and conceivably he's got that easy gas like a big-time reliever we once had, Mariano Rivera. I'm not saying he's on his level. I'm not saying he's as good as him, but he has that, he's like 5'10", 5'11", and he's got that kind of gas, that velocity that he just, he's like he's having a cup of coffee. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. Easy gas, right? The way we approach our pitches, we don't stick to the basics. Fastball command. A kid like this could have been an asset for us, right? Look at Tanaka, right? Because Tanaka pitched great, right, in Houston, right? Because he had tremendous. Tanaka's fastball is his breaking ball, so he pitches. He's like today's version of El Duque. He's a tremendous backwards pitcher. Okay, fine. You want to pitch backwards? You're El Duque. Very few can pitch like El Duque. Very, very few. Not even Sabathia came close to El Duque. Sabathia is a Hall of Fame pitcher, right? Fastball command, fastball command. Tanaka don't throw enough fastballs. If he's got his breaking ball like on, which is very hard to do, it's very hard to keep throwing that deuce for strikes. That's why he's up and down. That's why he'll go 5 innings. That's why he'll. I mean, he could, the first game of the series, Tanaka could have went 9 or at least 7. He went 6 or 5. And his second outing, he wasn't as consistent because he didn't have the command of the curveball that he. It's a lot easier to command your fastball. It's like Severino. Severino, I mean, see what happens is Rothschild takes his brain and puts it on the pitches, right? So by taking his brain and wanting to sequence the way he wants to sequence, pitching is a feel thing. Pitching is a feeling you have at that day. What, you got a 99 or you got an 89 or you got your deuce, your yakka breaking, your slider. I mean, there's so much. They make it more complicated because I'm a numbers guy, right? I'm an amateur scientist, and I'm trying to move my game up in that area, right? I'm a numbers guy. Descriptive statistics, linear algebra, calculus, right? Matrix algebra. I'm studying all that stuff, right? I mean, this is like, I mean, they take these numbers from like, well, his curveball is they're hitting 140 on it, so throw 20 curveballs in a row, like what they do in Domingo Germán. You got to throw your fastball more. James Paxton was throwing heat the day, but he was throwing. I mean, his fastball was ridiculous. Everybody, oh, his curveball, his knuckle curve. No. He ain't Burt Blyleven, nor is he Rich Hill. He's not up there spinning a ball like Rich Hill, okay? He ain't Rich Hill, and he ain't Burt Blyleven. But I know this much. He gives you this. He gives you the hand. Great deception, boom. That's James Paxton. 97 from the left side. He was blowing it by Springer, Altuve, Bregman, the 3 best hitters on Houston, right? The ball, and Chapman's a lefty. He couldn't have blown it by Springer, you better believe it. He couldn't have blown it by Altuve. He'd done it before. He blew gas by Altuve. I remember one game. He stared in. It was a regular season game. Chapman did. Chappie. Right? This way of pitching, this, it all comes down to the basics. Fastball command. Chad Green, tremendous arm. He's got to get the second pitch. I think you should take the book out of the Tommy Caley book. Get yourself a changeup. Keep it simple. Forget the slider. Get the changeup because your ball up is unbelievable. He just needs something going down, and he's a closer, right? Come on, man. Ottavino, hey, listen. Ottavino and Caley pitched a lot, man. Between the Caley and Ottavino, you got to have over 120, 130 appearances, something like that. I mean, come on, man. It's just like ridiculous, right? So the Yankees, when it came to the high leverage situations, because we should have had Jonathan Loáisiga for at least an inning with that, at least an inning every other game. Of those 6 games we played, maybe 3 or 4, Jonathan Loáisiga should have been able to make an appearance with that arm for 1 inning. Instead, because they got the kid, he brings him in, was a great thing. Strikes the first guy out, then it's a breaking ball, curveball, breaking ball, curveball. Are you serious? With a 99, I remember watching the highlights on Thurman Munson and Ron Guidry. He's pitching against the California Angels when he struck out 18. I was reading about it, and Ron Guidry had nothing in the bullpen. Absolutely nothing. When it came by the 4th inning, Thurman Munson, or 4th or 5th inning, something like that, Thurman Munson stopped putting a sign down. He just said like this, bring it. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, and this whole thing about covering your mouth and I'm tipping my pitches is a ruse, man. It is such a ruse. It's beyond belief. Because if you're that good, because they don't know location. So if I know a fastball's coming. But if you're that good, it's not going to matter because it's location, location, location. Where's the ball? Is it in a half, out of half? Is it up? Is it down? Is it a deuce? Is it a right? Even if they know it's a deuce, where's the ball going to be? Is it a hanger? So it doesn't matter if you know it's coming or not. That ball, more likely than not, like what Altuve did, is not coming back. This is all. I mean, make the big deal over this pitching thing, like they do with the hitting. Big deal. Oh, just get the barrel to the ball and let's win, right? We're gonna hit home runs, or we're gonna hit the ball over the field. We got to simplify, keep things basic, basics, basics, basics. It's got to be drilled into them. But these, I mean, come on, man. Everybody wants to do like I want to do big things. I get it, man. These baseball players and these athletes overall, I mean, they work so hard to get where they get. So I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. But that's what when we're in the big moments, that's when we got to keep things simple, and focus and bring ourselves to a nice, relaxed place where we could perform, as opposed to trying to hit the ball 500 yards 500 feet every time up. Now we overcame a lot. The Yankees are a great organization. The general manager's office, tremendous. Booney did a great job. I just think we got to consider changing the pitching coach because we got this kid, Clark Smith. What are we going to do to him? We got this kid, Clark Smith. What are we going to do to him? This kid, everybody's asking about this kid. He's a starter. He's nice, I hear. I just saw film. I'm not there, but I hear he's nice. We got Luis Medina. We got a lot of young arms, man. We got a lot of live arms. We got this kid, Devi Garcia. I mean, are we going into the free agent market and try to bring, if we had let's look at Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn's throwing 98. Nasty though. He would have gave Houston all they could handle. Oh my God. He is relentless. We had Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn and Giovanni Gallegos. Giovanni Gallegos had another stud right-hander out of the pen. We traded, right? We couldn't handle Sonny Gray, unfortunately. Sonny Gray was a tremendous pitcher. We couldn't handle him. And then we couldn't re-sign Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn, you see, Hap, I don't know what happened to Hap, right? Hap looked scared to nobody's business last night. I was very concerned about Hap. Luis Cessa, I don't know what Luis Cessa is doing on the bump in Game 7. I had no idea, right? But we got away with it, right? What do you think, NASA? What do you think? So, I mean, right? Lance Lynn would have been very effective. Lance Lynn's a postseason pitcher. 98, he was throwing against us one of the last games of the season in Texas. Lance Lynn was throwing 98, but he is, like he said in his press conference when he pitched for the Yankees, he's not nice on that mound. He's nasty. And that's what I thought we were going to get from Chappie. He was nasty. He's always nasty. I thought we were going to get the third strikeout with the glaring in Springer. After he dropped that first deuce on him, I thought he was going to take the ball, shake off Sanchez, and bring the gas. Because I'm a Gary Sanchez fan. And Gary Sanchez, to me, he's got to settle down in these big moments, man. I was so disappointed in a way on his. I mean, there comes a point in time where you got to take a step back and say, maybe my hitting approach is off, because he could be one of the best hitters on the team. He's got tremendous talent. He's a weapon. His arm is a weapon, and unfortunately, I think his hitting affected his defense a little bit, which is okay. We overcame it. We got it to a tie, and it should have been Game 7. But I tip my cap to the Yankees, a great organization, great front office, tremendous field manager. But I think you got to reconsider your pitching coach. I really do. Because this thing about putting the analytical slant on the pitching, so you take your brain, Rothschild's brain, and puts it on the pitcher's brain, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? It is ridiculous. You look at the Hap game. Hap had a nasty fastball from the beginning, and they kept going to the breaking ball, change-ups, breaking ball. Challenge the hitters. You got to challenge these hitters, man. You got to believe in your stuff. Like the hitter got to believe in their hands. The pitcher's got to believe in their stuff. And that's it. This is not, we're not deriving the Strojan equation here. We're not doing that. So that's my take on the Yankees. And I did 20 minutes. Wow. So my Giants, this Pat Shermer, he's another guy, no basics. Just throw the ball, he's got Saquon Barkley in the backfield, no basics. Throw the ball all over the place, I got my quarterback, I'm going to make some plays. He's a joke. I may be wrong, but I think he's, the basics. Run the football, stop the run. The beginning of developing a playoff football team. Run the football and stop the run. We don't have any studs on the defensive side, right? So we should have a defense that is at least going to bend but not break, right? Try to make the offense use a lot of plays to score. Utilize many plays to score, so eventually they go for field goals. Keep them out of the end zone. That should be the goal because we have no real studs up front. Not that I've seen anyway. Maybe some have materialized that could actually, like an inside push guy or edge guy that's really a threat that the offense has to watch. I haven't seen, maybe there is somebody like that. I don't know. And then the Knicks are starting up, I think, next week. So I got to check them out, and we're going to start. They're making the playoffs, the Knicks. That's what I believe. So we'll talk more about that. I'll watch a few games and we'll talk. All right. So now I'm going to talk about our great president, Donald John Trump. When I last spoke, I got like a half hour, so I want to get off in an hour. When I last spoke, we were talking about Turkey, right? So I want to set the room up, right? So we had Turkey, and we had so we were trying to. I didn't really understand the way the whole thing was being reported, and the way they were reporting the where is it? Okay, wait, got it? Yeah, here it is. Right. So Fox News was saying that the Kurd forces, right, announces deal with Damascus. Damascus. Who's Damascus? That's Iran, right? A deal with Damascus. Who's running Damascus? Assad. They laugh at Assad. It's Iran. Iran got Russia involved, so they're propping up Assad. Basically, you can argue, it can be argued that Syria is an Iranian colony, pretty much, right? So that's where we are, and we talked about the Kirkuk oil pipeline with Barzani and the Khomeini and Erdogan and Abadi, the prime minister of Iraq, not allowing and basically forcing Barzani to resign because they had an independence vote, and so the Kurds in Iraq couldn't have their government, and they had to give up the Kirkuk oil pipeline, and Erdogan was involved with that. And then we read the Kenneth Tillerman article, talked about Erdogan materially supporting, aiding and abetting ISIS. And then we said that the mainstream media was like this. First, they said he's whacking ISIS. Then they said he's blowing up prisons, trying to release ISIS prisoners, 10,000 to 20,000. And Kenneth Tillerman suggested, the great investigative reporter was suggesting maybe Erdogan was utilizing ISIS to because he was apparently there was discussions that Erdogan was stealing Syrian and Iraqi oil and using ISIS to sell the oil on the black market. We don't know, but that was something that was suggested as a possible motive by Kenneth Tillerman. So we had that going on, and then we were talking about so basically the theme of the we were trying to figure out why, because as you know, foreign policy is very complicated, right? So we're looking at some of the variables and to see if we could, from the variables, see if we could come up with maybe a reasonable, statistically significant, because I got my disclaimer, outside looking in, no U.S. Congressional Oversight Committee, no International Atomic Energy Agency, no Joint Chiefs of Staff, no National Security Council, no access to classified docs. What up, Lawrence? We're talking about it now. No access to classified docs, nor do we know anyone has access to classified docs. Court papers, judges' decisions, peer-reviewed journal articles, and well-sourced, well-researched open source article. What we're searching for is a quasi-model, quote-unquote statistical significance, and all likelihood, no probability. We look for trends, inferences, and patterns in the data, and then we attempt to conceivably reach reasonable, responsible conclusions. And by the way, we believe our conclusions are close. Classified information is the mean. We're within the standard deviation of the mean. The Russo disclaimer. So I'm over here on my couch. I'm not in Syria. I'm not in Raqqa. I don't want to be. I'm not in Damascus. I don't want to be there either. I'm not in Beirut. I'm not in Baghdad. I'm not in Damascus. I'm not in Sana'a. I'm not in Riyadh. I don't want to be in those places, quite frankly. But I'm over here in Brooklyn, trying to understand what's going on. So we know that Erdogan is a shady character, right? There was much in the open source published reports that even that fake, they claimed that the supposed coup, blaming it on a Muslim cleric in Pennsylvania. There's much data that it was fake, that even the footage may I use the word may have been not real. And some things have come out into the open source that one of the major networks was actually using not actual footage of this military insurgent by Turkey. Some other footage from another time and place. Crazy, right? Crazy. We got that going on. We got the Kirkuk oil pipeline that gives us some indication how Erdogan moves with Iran more than the open source mainstream media is indicating. Erdogan is a lot more friendlier, for the sake of a better word, with Iran than what the open source and mainstream media wants to admit, right? And then we had the Kirkuk oil pipeline. We had where they were with Iran on that, because the Iran controls Baghdad, Iraq. Iran controls Damascus, Syria, right? And we talked about the 3 to 10 military bases, Iranian military bases around Damascus. We talk about the 4 to 2 Russian military bases above Damascus, and above Raqqa, we got about 8 to 10, something like that, right? So all this going on, what the heck is going on, right? And then we talked about Tillman's article claiming that, like we said earlier, Erdogan supports aids and abets ISIS. Okay. And then you got other mainstream media, major networks saying that he's whacking ISIS. I mean, it's just like, are you serious? So this is what I go through, right? So now Tillman, this Sunday paper, came out with an article. Let's talk Turkey, right? Kenneth Tillman, New York Post. Let's talk Turkey. Let's talk Turkey. New York Post. Kenneth Tillman came out with an article. Tremendous investigative reporter. He wrote the book. I read it. Dark Forces: Truth About Benghazi. Great book. You got to get it. Dark Forces: Truth About Benghazi. I forgot to mention my app. I got an app. Oh God, the Yankees. I'm so crushed about the Yankees. I got an app now. Frankie Russo. Go into the App Store. Put Frankie Russo in there. Name of the app is America's Team, and you'll get all my initial content, stuff from my website, stuff from my social media. It's a beginning. It's a beta process. I'm working with the developers, and we're going to be updating this. So we're going to be doing this incrementally, so that you get in now. The future products and services, you'll get discounts. So it's free right now. Join America's Team. You can go to my @FrankieRusso1 on Twitter. Go to @FrankieRusso1 on Twitter, and you click on the pinned tweet, and you can join right there. Send you right to the App Store. Go into the App Store, Apple app. Right now it's Apple, and we got Erdogan. I'm getting ready to update it. So this is where we are, right, with this whole thing. So that's my app. I'd love for you to get in there and please download the app. It's free, and in the future we're gonna monetize it. And if you want to, not expensive, and we'll be issuing discounts. So if you're in, you got to be in it to win it, right? You got to join America's Team, man, because we're on the move. All right, so let's look at this article by Timmerman. So Timmerman says, well, he starts off, the national media blasted President Trump's withdrawal of 50 U.S. military advisors from Syrian border with Turkey as a sellout, a betrayal, and a huge strategic blunder, which is not true, right? And Timmerman's going to lay out some of the things that are just not true, right? Because and we talked about this last show, if Fox News is saying that the Kurds forces announced deal with Damascus if the U.S. pull out, right? Why don't they mention Iran? Iran's involved. Iran's involvement. Iran's involved. If you're talking Damascus, Iran's involved. If you're talking Syria, Iran's involved. 3 to 15 billion from the Soleimani's there. He brought in Russia to keep us to prop Assad up, and Iran gives Syria between 3 to 15 billion annually. That's the Iranian colony, at least Damascus is. Right? So if they mentioned Iran and their involvement with Erdogan in this Syria thing, this Syria incident, whatever this was, right? Guess what? President Trump looks like a genius, like we said Friday night, because he's squeezing Iran. He's squeezing Iran, right? So here we go now. We got Kenneth Timmerman. He said, where's the interesting? Okay, yeah. So basically, he said, let's be clear. None of them truly care about the Kurds, talking about the press, claiming that they would have been sending correspondence. He said they would have been sending, my eyes are, I don't have my, so my eyes are a little, they would have been sending correspondence and camera crews to northern Syria if they cared about the Kurds, right? And let's be clear, he goes on to say the goals of the Turkish president Erdogan, he attempted to, what does that say? He attempted to he attempted a military invasion of Syria as a counter-terrorism operation. There has been no terror attacks against Turkey from Syrian territory since the Syrian Kurds established their self-governing entity in 2012. I'm sorry, I left my glasses. In addition, Erdogan isn't even remotely interested in fighting ISIS or taking responsibility for the established or estimated 12,000 ISIS fighters currently in Kurdish custody. The humanitarian disaster that unfolded this week helped I can't read it, help. Oh, here we go. Now it's better. So helped Erdogan. So basically, it helped Erdogan to be viewed as a notorious mass murderer, as Saddam Hussein. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. My eyes are acting up on me tonight. Erdogan's real goal with this invasion was to smash Kurdish self-government, and those 50 U.S. advisors was the last thing in his way. But let's be clear, U.S. goals, our advisors, were not in northern Syria to defend a Kurdish government, but to fight ISIS. The fight to smash the ISIS caliphate is over. We won, according to Kenneth Timmerman, right? Now, he goes on to say, and he talks about this now, when the Kurdish regional government, President Barzani, we talked about this, defied their warnings, right? The United States did, this was under, if I'm not mistaken, let me make sure, because I don't want to give misinformation. This was under the, let me see, the Kirkuk conflict. I want to make sure that this is, I'm right. I know, I'm pretty certain I'm right. Oh, cut in 17. Did it? When was the independence vote? No, I don't think that's true. Independence vote. Independence. the Kurds. It did happen in 17. Wow. That happened in September 17. Okay. So we talked about this. It happened September 17. So we talked about this. The Barzani resigning, and the Kirkuk oil pipeline. So basically, we talk about the vector. I'll show you the vectors. I'm sorry, my I left my glasses. I forgot my glasses. But so reading sometimes, especially with the newspaper, I need my glasses. I can't see. I can't, unfortunately. All right. So Iran's over here, right? It's about, so in the third quadrant from Tehran, Iran, they're in Baghdad. 5 hours, 5 hour car ride. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps with Brigadier General Zarifi is in Baghdad. From there, it's another 5 or so hours, and they're in Damascus. This is Iran's most effective vector, right? This is from the Iranian embassy. This is where Brigadier General orchestrated and implemented the Khobar Towers attack in 1996. So this is a little microcosm of the vectors in the Iraqi border, the northern border of Saudi Arabia. This is why Saudi Arabia is building a 600-foot wall. Now, so they had that. So from Baghdad, I had the vectors over here. From Baghdad, I'll show it to you again. I should have it here. From Baghdad, here it is. From Baghdad, I'll show it to you again. From Baghdad, I'm not Frank. I'm on Periscope, my brother. So from Baghdad, which is right here, 90 degrees above, they're in Kirkuk, and this is where Barzani and the Kurds are voted to have their independent government. And then you had the Khomeini, Abadi, and Erdogan up here, Turkey, coming at Barzani because that pipeline goes into Turkey. That's a $7 billion asset. So I get Erdogan's actions and their military. They were threatening military, and so was the Soleimani from the Quds Force, the Iranian Quds Force. So I get it, right? So now, according to Timmerman, he's claiming that right, and he talked about what we're talking about, the Iraqi Kurds trying to fight for their independence, and you can see it makes sense why Erdogan got involved in that, right? Because of the $7 billion asset. Here, I don't know, right? And Kenneth Tillman goes on to he invoked an interesting a few interesting things, right? He wrote this book, in addition, just so you know, Kenneth Tillman wrote a book, ISIS Begins, a novel of the Iraq War. So he also wrote a book, Dark Forces, Truth About Benghazi, which I read. This guy's a tremendous investigative reporter. So in addition, so Kenneth Tillman goes on to say, did the president's critics really believe he should have considered those 50 U.S. soldiers as a tripwire that would trigger a massive U.S. military invasion of Syria to fight against Turkey, our NATO ally? And he goes on to say the president has taken concrete, immediate steps to punish Erdogan for his outrageous violation of the North Atlantic Charter, which calls on member states to settle any international disputes in which they may have been involved by peaceful means, and to refrain in their international relations from the threat or use of force in any manner, inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations. In addition, the president on Monday unleashed new sanctions against Turkish officials and government entities, imposed stiff tariffs on Turkish steel exports to the United States, and called off talks on a $100 billion trade deal, did our great President Donald John Trump. In addition, the Department of Justice unveiled a criminal complaint against Turkey state-owned Halkbank for allowing Iran to buy billions worth of gold using frozen oil money, violating economic sanctions. The complaint makes clear that senior government officials, possibly including Erdogan himself, took enormous bribes to exchange for allowing the scheme to continue. So this is by targeting Erdogan's financially, legally, and undermining his legitimacy, President Trump has done more to help the Kurds than his critics with their crocodile tears, and now he's winning. So this is the article. I'm sorry that I had a problem, reading some of this, but it got better. My eyes got better. I don't know. So this is the article this is the Kenneth Tillman article on Turkey and their position. So he gives us an interesting perspective. He's obviously he's in the field, so he's reporting on things. So what I decided tonight, because we're going to add to this now, because things came to me when I'm listening. I'm reading Kenneth Tillman's article, and I went into this thing that he mentioned. This they call it. This is the President Trump is sanctioning the Halkbank, right, in Turkey. Right now, there was a case called United States versus Attila. United States versus Attila is an Iranian sanctions case in New York, and this guy Hakan Attila, an executive at the Halkbank, was accused of conspiring with Iranian Turkish businessman Reza Zarrab. Right, Reza Zarrab, and we talked about this on the show last time. Reza Zarrab is a Turkish national gold trader. I'm going to map this because I think we have something that could be pretty interesting. Maybe it could be interesting, right? Reza Zarrab was a gold trader that basically was bribing Erdogan's family, wife, son, and son-in-law with millions of dollars in exchange for Erdogan to open up Turkish banks and allowing Zarrab to money launder to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps tens of millions of dollars, right? So we got Zarrab in with this CEO of this Turkish bank, Halkbank, right, in Turkey. So Reza Zarrab using the U.S. financial system to conduct transactions on behalf of Iran. So they put Iran into our banking system. That's against the federal statutes. Iran is on heavy sanctions, and other Iranian entities which were barred by U.S. sanctions. I don't have the articles. So Attila found guilty. I'm reading from a Wikipedia article just to start to put the information out there. There are footnotes in this thing because everybody goes, "Oh, Wikipedia." There are footnotes in these articles. So there's footnotes there. I'm not saying it's incontrovertible truth, let alone statistically significant, because I'm going to get more data over the next. I'll be on here tomorrow, and I'm going to drill down on this. I'm going to map this. Okay, look. Attila found guilty for bank fraud and conspiracy to violate U.S. sanctions on Iran. Right. So you got now. It gets even more interesting. On December 2013, an investigation involved Reza Zarrab and Babak Zanjani. I talk about this guy, Iranian billionaire. He owns the First Islamic Investment Bank in Kuala Lumpur. Well, yeah, or I looked at the address, Port Labuan, That's where, according to Associated Press, that's where this guy, Babak Zanjani, was selling 22 million barrels of oil. I don't know if it was Iranian oil or he was selling oil for the Islamic Republic of Iran's government, right? To get around the Western sanctions. So the Islamic Republic of Iran's their government was getting fed by this black market created by this guy, Babak Zanjani and Riza Zarab. So in December 13, an investigation involved Zarab, Babak Zanjani, the sons of three ministers in the Turkish government, revealed a system to help Iran bypass U.S. sanctions concerning the SWIFT payment system in a scheme based on Turkish public bank Halak Bank, whereby money was transferred to front companies in China, why am I not shocked, and Turkey, and gold brought with that money transferred to Iran via Dubai. However, Erdogan called the investigation as a judicial coup against his government, dismissed. So this is part of the coup, the coup d'etat, right? Erdogan now, coup d'etat is talking, right? So on March 19, 2016, Riza Zarab was arrested in Miami. They got him in Miami. They arrested him. He copped a plea for conspiring to evade U.S. sanctions against Iran. And they also got Attila, who was found guilty in connection with Zarab, right? So now, the Turkish-Iranian gold dealer, right? We talk about this, the gold trader. Zarab was arrested in Miami. And this guy, wow, Klamia Jamshidi, an employee of Zarab's and of Bank Malat, were also named in the indictment. Now I'm going to get this indictment. I'm going to have it on the show tomorrow. Zarab is accused of violating the Iranian sanctions regime by concealing bank transactions that transferred gold and American currency to the Iranian government. Zarab and the two other individuals of Bank Malat have been charged with conspiring to defraud United States, right, to violate U.S. sanctions. Now, so we got this guy Attila Hakan Tilla, the CEO of the bank that President Trump just sanctioned this bank, Halak Bank. I don't have everything. I'm just laying out. What time is it? I'm just laying it out right now. I don't have everything. I still got another 12 minutes or so. But this is crazy. Now watch. So we got Attila, Riza Zarab, and Babak Zanjani. Babak Zanjani owns First Islamic Investment Bank in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Port Labuan, and we know he sold 22 million barrels of oil off the Port of Labuan for the Islamic Republic of Iran's government, right? And we know, excuse me, Riza Zarab is holding he's involved with Babak Zanjani, the Turkish-Iranian gold trader. So now, and we got this guy Attila, who was pleaded guilty, was the CEO of this bank, right? That was money laundering for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Now, so this is what I'm seeing right now. According to Kenneth Timmerman, $8 to $10 million were given to the Ansar al-Sharia to put the Benghazi hit. Right. $8 to $10 million. What up, car keys? To do the Benghazi hit. So this is what I'm thinking. In 2011. And according to Kenneth Timmerman, investigative reporter, Dark Forces Truth About Benghazi, there were Qud Force accounts in Malaysia. Conceivably, right? Malaysia, conceivably, right. Conceivably with First Islamic Investment Bank, Babak Zanjani, right? So we got Babak Zanjani. I'm going to map this tomorrow. We're going to drill down on this heavy. I think we may have something here. Yeah, trying to stay smart. Exactly. Oh, it's going to happen, Clark. Truth be told. So this is what I'm seeing, right? What up, Sailor? We got Babak Zanjani in Malaysia. We got Riza Zarab in Turkey bribing Erdogan to open up his banks so he can money launder to the Islamic Republic of Iran. And then also they got the National Iranian Oil Company involved in this thing, right? Which is a sanctioned terrorist entity by the United States Treasury. And who runs the National Oil Company? The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, who's sanctioned by our great President Donald Trump as a government entity. First time in our history, U.S. Treasury history, where we're sanctioning a government entity. So now, wouldn't it be a kicker, right, if it became somewhat clear that the Qud Force accounts with that $8 to $10 million went, it was in the hands, according to Kenneth Tillman, of Mohammed Jodaki, and he met with Khalil Harab in Turkey, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, it was Turkey. So Khalil Harab, this is like a Qud Force Hezbollah connection. Khalil Harab was the point guy with Ansar al-Sharia. Mohammed Jodaki was the money guy, right? So Kenneth Tillman claimed that $8 to $10 million came from Qud Force bank accounts in Malaysia. And I'm thinking those Qud Force bank accounts are in the First Islamic Investment Bank in Malaysia. So if that's the case, the indications are, so we know now Iran funded this thing, right? We know that according to Lieutenant General Michael Flynn and Kenneth Timmerman, that Iran was behind materially supporting Ansar al-Sharia with money, weapons, and training out of Benghazi, the Benghazi terror cell with Ajabaya. We got the vectors. Ajabaya, 90 degrees north is Benghazi, 45 degrees northeast is Derna. And this is, and then we had the material, then we had, right? So, because I want to keep, now, just hold this for a second. I'm mapping this, so it's gonna be a lot, with the grace of God, clearer tomorrow. So on the side of this, which I haven't given up yet, I'm just putting it on hold. The Obama-Clinton crime family, Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton, materially supported Ansar al-Sharia with money, weapons, and training and human assets in Libya that put the hit on Benghazi. They materially supported them. And it was materially supported by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps Qud Force Hezbollah terror cell inside of Benghazi, right? So we're putting that on hold, and we're putting on Lisa Strzok is Monica Witt. Monica Witt is Lisa Strzok. U.S. spies inside the FBI, right? Those two things are being put on hold because we're going to go back now to this Babak Zanjani in Malaysia with the First Islamic Investment Bank, giving Mohammed Jodaki $8 to $10 million to meet with Khalil Harab and fund Ansar al-Sharia. Now, and the National Iranian Oil Company is involved. That's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. Okay. So now, if that's the case, that means Riza Zarab is involved. Now, if Riza Zarab is involved, that means Erdogan's involved. That means we got Turkey, Erdogan, Rises Arab, Babak Zanjani funding the attack on Benghazi. Yeah. And they got the Bank Malat and the Halak Bank in Turkey, which President Trump is sanctioning. So we are going to map this between the now this guy Attila is the CEO of the Halak Bank, right? So we know that Zarab was a gold trader, and they talked about giving. So I'm going to get all of the details and the particulars on how Attila, Zarab, and Babak Zanjani with Bank Malat and Halak Bank in Turkey, the Turkish bank, with the National Iranian Oil Company, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So we believe there is we're creepy. We're gonna make an interesting scenario that the Benghazi attacks on the mission that killed the 4 Americans. And what's really interesting is, I'm telling you, Car Keys, and what's really interesting is with this whole thing. What up, Lawrence? What up, Frankie Parker? What's really interesting is the last individual that was with Ambassador Stevens before he got killed was the general consul diplomat of Turkey. Right? So is Erdogan, is Rises Arab, Babak Zanjani, Iran, involved in the funding of the hit on Benghazi? Because we know that we know there was a terrorist cell inside of Benghazi, an Iranian Hezbollah, Quds Force, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps terror cell inside of Benghazi, right? And that was where they materially supported a Sunni militia. So they called it Ansar al-Sharia, which did exist, Car Keys. Well, I don't know. We'll see, right? I don't know yet, right? So they took Al-Qaeda foreign fighters that go back to the Afghan Taliban versus the Soviet Union. They took these Al-Qaeda foreign fighters, and we know this because Al-Qaeda was on steroids in August of 2012, according to the Library of Congress article that I brought into the fold over here. If I can find it, I'll show it tomorrow. No big deal. I'll show it to you all tomorrow. But the crazy thing is, if this is true, so we have Babak Zanjani, Iran. He's working with Ahmadinejad at the time, and oh my God, right? Ahmadinejad, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps with the National Iranian Oil. So President Trump's a genius when you look at this, because he's squeezing Iran, right? So could you imagine if this is true, that the $9 to $10 million came from the First Islamic Investment Bank in Malaysia, and you got Rises Arab, right? You got this guy Attila from the Halak Bank, in the Turkish bank that opened up that money laundered for the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. You got the National Iranian Oil Company, which is the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and you got Erdogan, the Prime Minister, the President of Turkey, funding the attack on Benghazi. What the hell is going on here, right? According to Kenneth Tillman, it was an $8 to $10 million money transfer. How much time I got? It's almost an hour. Oh God. So I'm going to map this. I didn't download the articles. I didn't try to put down so we got Malaysia's involved conceivably in Benghazi, right? Because Kenneth Tillman, his book said, could force $8 to $10 million in could force accounts in Malaysia. One of them I know conceivably is the First Islamic Investment Bank, Babak Zanjani. Right? His bank's involved. If his bank is involved, this is over the top. This is the stuff. This is over the top, right? This is like bomber material supporting Ansar al-Sharia. That's why I think we might be able to tie this whole thing together. And you got the Iranian spies, U.S. Iranian spies inside of the FBI. So Lisa is Monica Witt, Lisa Page, Monica Witt. And right now it's come out that Peter Strzok's father was stationed in Iran. Peter Strzok lived in Iran. What that means, I don't know. And we got Lisa Page's mother is Iranian. What that means, I don't know, right? Valerie Jarrett is there, right? So conceivably, this is what the deep state is covering. Things like this is what they're covering up. Not this Ukraine scandal, quid pro quo. It's legal, it's not legal. It's all three things and half things of another. It doesn't, the motherlode of quid pro quo, corrupt quid pro quo, is the Clinton Foundation. Oh, by far, Karkis. It's bigger than the Ukraine. The Ukraine is just like, it's like everybody telling everybody that that Obama's birth certificate is fake, right? Obama's birth certificate is fake. Everybody's going, Obama's birth certificate, you're a birther, you're a white supremacist, nationalist, you're a racist. Meanwhile, Obama has a fake, fraudulent selective service registration card, which is statistically significant. There was a Sheriff Joe and a cold case posse did an extensive investigation down to the pica stamp, claiming that Barack Hussein Obama never mailed his selective service registration card. So according to federal law, if you have a fraudulent selective service registration card, it is violation of federal law, and you're not allowed to serve in the, you cursed, I'm blocking you. You're not allowed, I blocked him because he cursed. Not that he's against Trump, it's that he cursed. You're not allowed to serve in the executive branch of the United States government. Not allowed. So in 1980, President Carter was considering a draft. So you had to get into the pool, the selective service pool. Right. And they said, Obama never mailed it. Fake. So, same thing here, right? Ukraine scandal. Quid pro quo, corruption with Joe Biden's son, Mitt Romney, another rat. Oh my God. I was reading what a rat that guy is. I voted for him. I voted for Mitt Romney and I voted for Paul Ryan. I voted for both of them. Rats, as far as I'm concerned. Rats. Right? So I have Mitt Romney, another rat, his son. And who cares, quite frankly? Something? I really don't care. I really don't care. What I'm concerned about is Iranian spies inside the FBI. What I'm concerned about is the Obama-Clinton crime family, Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton, materially supporting Ansar al-Sharia over the Americans in Benghazi. That's what I'm concerned about, right? I'm concerned about Babak Zanjani, the Iranian billionaire who sells oil for the Islamic Republic of Iran to get around the Western sanctions. I'm assuming it's Iranian oil. That was put out by the Associated Press. Never Trumpers, right? And then Reza Zarrab is involved, who's involved with Erdogan in bribing the Halak Bank. And Erdogan was bribed, Erdogan's wife, Erdogan's son, Erdogan's son-in-law, with millions of dollars. So this guy, Reza Zarrab, this gold trader, could utilize the Turkish bank, one of them, the Halak Bank, to money launder to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps for tens of millions of dollars, right? Attila, the CEO of the Halak Bank, pleaded guilty. They arrested Reza Zarrab in the United States, and he copped the plea. And you don't hear this on the radio. You're not hearing this on the radio, Nick. Not this stuff. Sorry. You're not hearing this on the radio. So you got Babak Zanjani. Who's an Iranian billionaire, was working for the Ahmadinejad and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, who happens to be the national Iranian oil company. They run it. So the crazy thing with this whole thing, with investigative reporter Kenneth Tillerman, Dark Forces: The Truth About Benghazi, where he claims that the 8 to 10 million came from Quds Force bank accounts, and Mohammed Jodaki met with Khalil. Met with, please, Henry, no cursing in the room. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. You could, we love President Trump too, absolutely. But don't curse. So we got Babak Zanjani conceivably giving this guy Mohammed Jodaki no problem, Henry, the 8 to 10 million to give to Khalil Harab, who gave it to Ansar al-Sharia, which was materially supported by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Quds Force, the Hezbollah terror cell in Benghazi. And we know this from the vectors from Ajabaya, which is from Ajabaya, 90 degrees north is Benghazi. From Benghazi, 45 degrees northeast, you're in Derna. That's where all the pipeline into Derna is where all the human assets, the Al-Qaeda foreign fighters were. Also in Benghazi, because we have the government document, the Library of Congress document, claiming that the Al-Qaeda in Libya in August of 2012, I think August or June of 2012, it's a month before the Benghazi hit, Al-Qaeda militias, upwards of 15 different Al-Qaeda militias were meeting in June of 2012, 3 or 4 months before Benghazi, in the Liberation Square inside of Benghazi. Now, we had Al-Qaeda in America with Anwar al-Awlaki, FBI asset, Abdel Sattar Sheikh, FBI asset, Imad Karaka in El Paso, Texas, FBI asset, Muhammad Atta, they knew of him, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, they knew of him, did the federales, right? Then you got Abu Hamzi Masri, and you have Abu Yahya al-Libi, who Obama knew. They were both Al-Qaeda foreign fighters that go back to the Afghan Taliban versus the Soviet Union. And they became, as was Anwar al-Awlaki, they became MI5, MI6 informants, right? Al-Qaeda, and we know about the billionaire fraudsters in the UK giving 80 to 100 million to the Al-Qaeda support network with Osama bin Laden, right? Inside of the UK. And now we know the Al-Qaeda network inside of Libya is on steroids beyond belief compared to the United States and the UK. They were on steroids, right? And Obama gave 400 FIM-92s. Now we're going to go back to the Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton, materially supporting Ansar al-Sharia with money, weapons, and training. And the terror cell was created. This Ansar al-Sharia was created by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force, Hezbollah terror cell inside of Benghazi. They got the money from Kuala Lumpur, from Port Labuan in Malaysia. First Islamic Investment Bank. Do I have incontrovertible truth on that? I don't. But that is definitely something we're not going to go away from right now. That the 8 to 10 million dollars, the Quds Force accounts are in the First Islamic Investment Bank in Malaysia with Babak Zanjani. Babak Zanjani right now is in jail. Hassan Rouhani, the Prime Minister of Iran. So the rub is that Hassan Rouhani doesn't want to lose control of Iran. So he's showing the people of Iran that he's going to take a hard line on Babak Zanjani, who's in with the mullahs, who's in with Ahmadinejad, who's in with the Khomeini, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So Hassan Rouhani has to show. So Babak Zanjani has a lot of money, so he's probably bribing his way. He's gonna probably bribe his way out of this one. They had him on a death sentence, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I'll be surprised. But maybe maybe he knows too much. Somebody's got to get whacked. I don't know. But these are gangsters, right? So we got Babak Zanjani and the First Islamic Investment Bank giving Mohammed Jodaki, 8 to 10 million to give to Khalil Harab, who gave it to Ansar al-Sharia. And then we got the Al Qaeda foreign fighters in Libya coming from Derna, and then we have where the Obama Clinton crime family provided material support, human assets, was from Morsi. According to Raymond Ibrahim, he translated the Benghazi tapes and found that there were Muslim Brotherhood operatives that were part of the Ansar al-Sharia. So Ansar al-Sharia basically is a cutout of Al Qaeda foreign fighter free agents, and in order to create a ruse, the Iranian Military Guard Corps Hezbollah Quds Force terror cell created this Ansar al-Sharia, a Sunni terrorist militia made up of Derna Al Qaeda foreign fighters in Iraq, in Libya, right? Who knows? Maybe Iraq too. Who knows? Conceivably, and Muslim Brotherhood operatives from Morsi's group. That's where Obama provides the human assets. Obama and Hillary Clinton, they couped Mubarak and put Morsi in, Muslim Brotherhood operative, as Mustafa Jalal and Abdel Hakim Belhaj are Muslim Brotherhood operatives as well. So we got the money from, and then Obama gave to further solidify this money laundering scheme, because you got you have the 1.7 billion in wood pallets in the heat of the night in airplanes to the Iranian Military Guard Corps. I got 5 sources. 150 back to Iran because the Hague said it, because we decided to hold on to the 400 million and not give Iran the jet fighters, because they took 50 American hostages in '79, and they've been whacking and killing men and women of the United States Armed Forces, whether directly or materially supporting indirectly, in the North African Middle Eastern region. And we got U.S. district courts. Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, materially supported before, during, and after Al Qaeda and their horrific hit on the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. So we got money, human assets, weapons, 400 FIM-92s, and then plus allowing getting NATO involved, because Sarkozy, England was involved, and France, Cameron, and Sarkozy, they wanted that 143 tons of gold, according to WikiLeaks. And then they got the general, which I think conceivably may have been whacked by Iran, may have whacked him, because Iran whacks people. I know they're blaming Abu Qatala. Apparently, Abu Qatala is a guy, one of these Derna foreign fighters from Libya, was one of the last guys to be with this General Yunus, who defected from the Gaddafi regime. And he was getting bribed, according to WikiLeaks, by France, because he was supposed to keep things copacetic with the radical Islamists, and they've sensed that. And Mustafa Jalal ordered the execution order. Muslim Brotherhood operative ordered the execution order to whack General Yunus in Libya. So the interim government, after Gaddafi was whacked in October of 2011, they whacked General Yunus, I think, if I'm not mistaken, around that time or before that. And open source claims Abu Qatala was one of the last individuals to be with General Yunus. And I wouldn't be surprised whether Abu Qatala, which I haven't fully drilled down on, if he has some sort of connection with Iran. Because Iran, this is what Iran does, right? Iran whacked Rafiq Hariri, the prime minister of Lebanon. And they say Hezbollah is heavily involved. That's yet to be fully disclosed. I think a trial was supposed to happen. It did happen. It didn't happen. And then they whacked that Ali Abdul Salah, the former prime minister of Yemen, when they couped Hadi, the prime minister, the Sunni prime minister of Yemen. They couped him out of Sana'a. They sent him to Aden, where they were firing the Houthi rebels, materially supported by Iran. How do we know this? Nikki Haley in Washington had the missiles, said made in Iran, right? So we got Iran heavily involved in this whole thing. From Turkey, Erdogan getting bribed millions of dollars by the Turkish Iranian national. We got this Iranian billionaire fund. So we got Benghazi. I mean, this thing is just bizarre, right? And then we got the Obama Clinton crime family, materially supporting Ansar Sharia. So from this thing, we got the Obama Clinton crime family materially supporting Ansar al-Sharia, right? That is the group that was put together by Iran to kill the Americans and open up the floodgates for the man-pads. Because Obama, in his grand scheme of things, the genius tactician with that other genius tactician, Hillary Rodham Clinton, two stealth jihad radical Islamists, under the guise of, Arab Spring, let's get rid of Gaddafi. He's a dictator. Let the people choose their government. And we're going, yeah, isn't he brilliant? And meanwhile, he has a different design on a different agenda than what he's betraying is the Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton, right? So the worst case scenario with this whole thing, we had the Shah of Iran in the White House, right? He materially supported Ansar al-Sharia with money, weapons, training, and human assets, right? Made that happen. He made sure Iran got taken care of through that fake Iranian, and Iranian nuclear was fake, right? Didn't include the Iranian ballistic missile program inside the Iranian nuclear, another fake deal. Then he shut down Project Cassandra, and this Project Cassandra was according to the Politico, Myers guy, stands by his data, as does Luke Rosiak stand by his data in that congressional IT server with the Arwan brothers and the DNC and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That's another interesting criminal activity by the DNC. So, and putting our national security at risk with their flimsy cavalier attitude toward classified information, which quite frankly, I think is one big ruse, that they know exactly what they're doing. So now we got Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton, materially supporting Ansar al-Sharia. We got Babak Zanjani, Iranian billionaire, Reza Zarrab, a gold trader, national Turkish Iranian national, and we got the prime minister, the president of Turkey, funding the Benghazi hit. In addition, we got Iranian spies inside the FBI. Lisa Strzok, Monica Witt. Lisa Strzok, Monica Witt. So inside, in order to get these transactions approved and move forward, they needed the spies inside, the Iranian spies. And with all this going on, China is ripping us off left and right. What a freaking ruse. Unbelievable. I'm going to break all this down over the next few days. I'm going to be on the air tomorrow. Right now, I'm on the air. It's 1:20. I'm going to be on the air early, like 9 o'clock the latest. I haven't set a time yet for my future shows, but I'm going to drill down on this. I think we got something. I think we got something big league. So basically, they're framing our great president. They're trying to fix the laws, fix the books against our great president. And meanwhile, the ruse is Ukraine. Who cares? Romania. Who cares? Who cares? They can control all that stuff. But let's hear an Iranian spies inside the FBI. That's off the hook. Erdogan, Reza Zarrab, the guy Hakan Attila, Bank Malat, the Halak Bank, First Islamic Investment Bank, the National Iranian Oil Company run by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps is all involved in the funding, the $8 to $10 million from the Quds bank accounts to fund the Benghazi hit. That's unbelievable. That is over the freaking, that's the stuff that they're hiding. That's the stuff that they're hiding. That's why they're trying to get rid of our president. Oh my God. They're afraid he's going to expose it all. That's why they're trying to get rid of our great president. They're trying to fund it all. All. Right. They're trying to push this thing under the rug. President Trump's a KGB agent. President Trump's given up Syria. It's not true. President Trump has given up what? Then you might as well say he's given up Qatar. He's given up the booty. He's given up, I mean, it's ridiculous. He's giving up Afghanistan. I mean, it's ridiculous what they're saying about our great president. Not even close to being true. Right? They want to impeach him because they're not going to beat him in the polls on November 3rd, 2020. Right? So that's their basically the impeachment is their insurance policy. There it is, right? Impeachment is their insurance policy, right? They don't want to risk it to an election. They did it in 2016 and it backfired in their faces, and they're afraid it's going to happen again. So they got to have their insurance policy, and their insurance policy is impeachment. They got a whistleblower on house arrest on a Ukraine scandal. I mean, I never seen so many rats in my life between people that unfortunately inside the Trump administration that it must be very difficult for our great president to see who's who because the government is so big. It's huge. He's getting hit from 40 different angles. He's got people worried about their own skin. It's a tough game to be in right now. But we elected a warrior, not a priest. So President Trump is gonna get ugly. It will be a proverbial, I'm not saying a violent, but a political bloodbath. But President Trump's gonna win. I'm trending toward hashtag Trump 2020 landslide, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was more like 2016, where President Trump wins, which by a big margin, by 300 plus electoral votes. So the only question is, will it be like Reagan-esque or more like November 8, 2016? That's all, basically, right? So that's where we are, right? We're going to, tomorrow, I am keeping on hold Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton materially supporting Ansar Sharia in the Benghazi hit with Iran, with the Iranian terror cell taking the side of Iran and the Quds Force and Hezbollah and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, like they've done numerous times, right? And then we got the federal and the FBI, Iranian spies inside the FBI. Lisa Page, Monica Witt. Monica Witt, Lisa Page. Wow. That's a story of all stories, right? And then we got this Attila, the CEO of Halak Bank in Turkey, which President Trump has sanctioned. We got Bank Malat, Iranian bank, was sanctioned. We got Babak Zanjani, Reza Zarab, and Attila, Hakan Attila, with the president of Turkey, Erdogan, materially supporting with money, $8 to $10 million, the Benghazi hit. Wow. What a story. I think we're close. I don't know for sure because I'm going to map it now. We're going to drill down on the details and see how close we are. Are we creeping toward statistical significance or incontrovertible truth? If I get statistical significance, boy, that would be something else, boy. I'm not going to have a check like or a data on a bank account in Al Shalom Islamic Bank like the PLO turned Christian Shubat had Malik Obama on a bank account with Omar al-Bashir, the half brother of the president of the United States, who has diplomatic visas coming and going in the White House, and it's beyond belief, right? We had radical Islamists in the White House. Barack Hussein Obama. Stealth jihad. Stealth jihad. He knew Abu Yahya al-Libi. Obama did. Obama knew Abu Yahya al-Libi. Obama knew him. This guy. Obama knows him. He got whacked by a drone in 2012. June of 2012. Obama knows him. Oh yeah. And he knows his brother, the co-founder of the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, which there was a terror cell inside of Manchester. Obama knows this guy. It's going to come out. But we're going to put on hold the Iranian spies inside the FBI. Lisa Page, Monica Witt, Lisa Page are the same person. And then we're gonna put on hold Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton, material supporting Ansar al-Sharia with money, weapons, and training, and the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force, Hezbollah terror cell that created Ansar al-Sharia. So Barack Hussein Obama, and Hillary Rodham Clinton supported Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, over the American embassy, the Benghazi mission inside of Libya. That's what they did. And that's why that server had to be destroyed, because all that data is on that server. That's why it was destroyed. And that's why Obama on 60 Minutes denied knowing of the existence of that server. And it came out the following day that he received 18 emails from HROD at clintonemail.com. HROD. Yeah, that's her handle. HROD. You believe that? Crazy. 18 emails. So I'm excited because it's interesting to see if we've uncovered something that, quite frankly, I was doing this, I was going through this, I'm saying to myself, wait a second, right? So they say things, the mainstream media has a tendency to say things in different ways, so there's no connections. They like to report things differently, so there's no connection. They can keep things going, everything's separate. They're not giving nobody up, and they're reporting on something. Much of mainstream media is corrupt. Not all of it, but much of it, especially the op-ed boards, are very corrupt. New York Times, Washington Post, Huffington Post, very corrupt. So we believe, and I'll say it again, we may have Erdogan. I'm not saying we got it. I don't even say if it's statistically significant, but I'm going to start to map this because I'm going to go into some of the details in the court cases and some of the details in the open source to see if we can tie it together. Erdogan, Attila, Reza Zarrab, and Babak Zanjani with the National Iranian Oil Company, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, materially supporting the attacks on Benghazi, the 8 to 10 million that went to Ansar al-Sharia through Mohammed Jodaki and Khalil Harab. Hezbollah, Quds Force connection. According to Kenneth Tillman, if I remember correctly, they met in Turkey. Turkey's involved with the general council, the general consulate, the Turkey. I'll have his name tomorrow. I have it vaguely, but I'll have it tomorrow. Was one of the last, if not the last individual, according to the record book, to meet with Adam Stevenson. And I'm tired. Ambassador Stevens. Adam Stevenson. Sorry. Ambassador Stevenson. Ambassador Stevens, who got killed, unfortunately. Right. So Benghazi ended up being a gun running operation, and you had John Brennan and Leon Panetta and Michael Morrell and James Clapper and James Comey and Bob Mueller running and monitoring. They say monitoring, but running this gun running operation from the White House, the Obama Clinton crime family. So by whacking Gaddafi, they knew. Our intelligence community knows what's going on. They knew Gaddafi was hoarding man pads. So the deal had to be NATO, England, and France gets the 143 tons of gold, and the man pads. You know, General Yunus was put there. Hey, Tammy, how are you? General Yunus was put there to make Mustafa Jalal, Mohammed Jabril, and Abdel Hakim Al-Hajj, two Muslim Brotherhood operatives, to do things the right way, copacetic. But unfortunately, thank you, Tammy. God bless you. Thank you for the visit. Unfortunately, it just don't work that way, right? So that's where we are. I'm going to drill down on this thing, this Attila case, this Zarab case, and this Zanjani, this Babak Zanjani, the Iranian billionaire. And we're going to bring in Bank Malat, the Hulk, the Turkish bank, Hulk Bank, and we got the National Iranian Oil Company. And conceivably, we have Erdogan, Babak Zanjani, Reza Zarab, and this guy Attila funding the 8 to 10 million. Because don't forget, and then we got Obama giving Iran 1.7 billion, the Iranian Reserve Guard Corps, and the 150 billion. Right? So we got Iran, we got Obama giving the Islamic Republic of Iran 150 billion back, claiming that they didn't get the jet fighters and we held their 400 million. And all the interest on that money, right? 150 billion. Obama got 3 points. He got 3 billion. He put it in the Al Shalom Islamic Bank in Sudan, his brother's bank account with Omar Bashir. Yeah, that's Osama bin Laden's bank. Yeah. Truth be told, I wouldn't be shocked. And the Clinton Foundation is involved. Absolutely. The Clinton Foundation is always involved in this stuff. They do it out in Europe, right? While Hillary Clinton sits as Secretary of State with, according to the United States Constitution, with a succession clause to the presidency, William Jefferson Clinton, former president of the United States, is in his Clinton Foundation Winnebago, touring all of Europe, looking for countries, looking for business entities to help them that want to do business with Iran, to help them get around the Western sanctions and to do business with Iran. That's exactly the scheme of Babak Zanjani, Reza Zarab, Hakan Attila, the CEO of the Halak Bank, and Erdogan. Nobody in mainstream media is honest about Erdogan's rapport with Iran. I'm not saying that they're amazing partners. All I'm saying is they're a lot more friendlier, I guess, I don't know what's a better word, than what's being Iran and Erdogan are a lot more friendlier. I don't know if that's good English or whatever, than what's being published in the mainstream media and the mainstream intelligence community. So we're going to move this whole thing forward. Tomorrow, I am definitely going to work on the mapping of this thing, and we're going to map this. It's going to be mapped. Systemically, methodically, I'm going to map this thing. And we think that we may have something where we have a pretty good idea of how Benghazi was funded and the people that were involved in the funding of Benghazi. Unbelievable. And you got the Democrats saying that nothing happened to Benghazi. Like Hillary Clinton did nothing. Benghazi was nothing. Hillary Clinton did nothing with the server. Hillary Clinton didn't violate as a matter of fact, James Comey rewrote the statutes, claiming an element of intent that's not required by Congress for a felony violation of the U.S. espionage statute. After all, before he said that and raised the standard of a felony violation, he functioned as a United States Senator, Supreme Court Justice, and then he pardoned her, President of the United States. One person, the FBI director. Deep State, July 5th, 2016 was the definitive moment and the actual absolute evidence of a deep state when James Comey did that press conference on July 5th, 2016 and rewrote the U.S. espionage statute, invoking an element of intent that's not required by Congress, according to Andrew McCarthy, blind sheet prosecutor. I mean, this stuff is beyond belief, right? So we are going to drill down on this whole thing with Turkey, Turkish nationals, Iranian nationals, National Iranian Oil, First Islamic Investment Bank, Bank Malat, Halak Bank in Turkey, and the Benghazi attack on September 11th, 2012. Right. Unbelievable. The Democrats claim that Benghazi there's nothing happened there. The Clinton email scandal, nothing happened there. The quid pro quo, the corrupt. Have a blessed one, Tammy. The quid pro quo, the corrupt Clinton Foundation, nothing happened there. The Ukraine scandal, the Romania scandal, nothing happened there. Everything is legal, according to the Democrats, the DNC, and the Rhino Rats, the Mitt Romneys, the Paul Ryanses, the Jeff Sessionses, the Jeff Flake, the Justin Amashes of the deep state. What they don't want us to look at, what they don't want us to talk about is Iranian spies inside the FBI, CIA, is the Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton material supporting Ansar al-Sharia. Barack Hussein Obama actually knowing Abu Yahya al-Libi, and they don't want us to talk about this Babak Zanjani and company and the First Islamic Investment Bank and the funding of the horrific hit through the Quds Force, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Hezbollah terror cell, creating Ansar al-Sharia to kill Americans in Benghazi, and how the Barack Hussein Obama, by material supporting Ansar al-Sharia over and Iran over the Americans. Treason, treason, treason at its highest degree. This is Frankie Russo, and we're going to continue this tomorrow. I'm going to drill down on this tomorrow. I'm not stopping. We're going to put on hold the Quds Force. I'm tired. We're going to put on the Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Rodham Clinton, material supporting Ansar al-Sharia and the Islamic Republic of Iran, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Hezbollah, Quds Force terror cell, and Lisa Page, Monica Witt, Lisa Page, and the Iranian spies inside the FBI. We're going to put that on hold, and we're going to focus on this Babak Zanjani and company and the 8 to 10 million from the First Islamic Investment Bank, including and Erdogan's involved, and the attacks on Benghazi. So this is Frankie Russo. God bless you all in the room. God bless you all for the visit. God bless the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. Thank you for your service. Thank you for providing me with the freedom that I love so I could do what I love to do, is broadcast. God bless the greatest country on the planet, America. The greatest. I love my country, and God bless our great president, Donald John Trump. This is Frankie Russo. I'll see you tomorrow night. It's going to be early. I'm going to try to get on early, 8. I'm going to try to get a set time. I'm shooting for 8. Probably be no later than 9. I'll see you tomorrow. This is Frankie Russo, and I'll see you in the future. This is Frankie Russo, and I'll see you in the future. Have a blessed one, Lawrence. Have a blessed one, Frankie B. And Facebook and YouTube Live.